Tito,
¡Hugo Sánchez!
toma tu chocomil.
Es tu gran compañero.
Sí, yo crecí con una dieta balanceada y chocomil.
Cuando necesitas algo nutritivo, ¿quién está contigo? Chocomil, Chocomil, te da energía, que te acompaña durante el día. Chocomil.
¡Felicidades, campeón! ¡Tu gran compañero!
En toda la vida.
Welcome to another episode of the CantinaMX podcast. This is Albert Campa. This is episode 214. And I'd like to welcome you guys to the podcast. Joining me is, for now, Joel. And hopefully some other guys will come on. Joel, how's it going?
Greetings, Chiquis. It's going pretty good. Being somewhat entertained by all my Chi hermanos going Chicken Little over Chivas defeat in Copa MX against, I believe it is the worst second division team.
Correcaminos.
Yeah, the Road Runner got the best out of the, should be the Chihuahua Coyotes.
Oh, and
Chihuahua.
Yeah, and thanks for, you didn't hear, but I did play the audio of the Hugo Sanchez Choco Milk commercial from 1986.
I actually grew up on Chocomil, just like Hugo, but I don't know, man. He must have had the good batch, because I played nowhere near as good as him. But man, way back, yeah, like in the 80s, we used to have had an aunt who lived in TJ, and we would go visit, and we would always we would buy some food over there from the Gigante, and that was one of the must-have items. The round can of Chocomil.
Yeah. And
Do you ever
John,
have it?
I've never had the Choco Milk. I didn't grow up in the
we were a quick
Mexican area.
household.
Yeah, I was gringo eyes, so I had Nestle Quick or whatever that was. Welcome, John.
I like quick sabor fresa. That was
That was it. Oh man,
it dissolved better than the chocolate quick.
Fancy. That was John being fancy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you shop at Aurrera instead of Gigante.
Yeah, though we would stop at a Gigante, and as a kid, those are the items I remember. The big round can and a big ass box of cookies, and the cookies are just thrown in the box. It sort of reminds me like the dog treats I buy now. They're just a big box of chocolate chip cookies.
How is Bark Buffalo?
The dog's okay. They're doing good. Doggos kicked them out of the room.
So we have John on the podcast, traveling in Lubbock.
Yay,
How's
Lubbock.
it going? We were thinking of I guess going over the main highlights of LigaMX and then maybe previewing this upcoming friendlies.
Okay. It's been so long since LigaMX, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been a while. I guess the main thing, like Joel was talking about, was the Copa MX action that happened. I will say this though.
Well, not main thing. I wouldn't call that the main thing.
It's the recent, most recent.
The Chi Hermano meltdown.
Oh, did they lose last night?
Yeah, they lost to the Road Runners.
They must have lost late because it was 0-0 like me.
It was, man, it was. And I remember like the 80-something minute and I changed the channel. And then when I'm on Twitter, I see all the hashtag Fuera Boy trending. But I guess, it's been eight games played of the league. Although there's quite a few that only have played 7.
Right, because of the bye week.
Yeah, the bye week. But as of now, the White Roosters, they rule the coop.
Crazy,
First
isn't it?
place. Yes, it is. And no really big name signings. It's all been
Except for one.
Rey Midas. Who would that be, John?
Well, the one you just mentioned.
Oh, yeah, the coach. This is all the top coaching right here, man. And for my key hermanos, this guy could have been at Chivas, but he kind of knows what the FO is about, and he's turned down the offers.
Yeah. Chivas is it's kind of like the Mexican national team. I mean, you have to, if you want it to work, you have to cede all power. But they never want to cede all power. That's why at least with Tata, they've kind of ceded all power. But let's see how long that works out. And as long as the results are good, it's okay. But as soon as if he loses tomorrow against the U.S., then there's gonna start even if it's just a friendly. There's gonna start. They're gonna be problems.
Fuera Tata trending.
Exactly. So I mean, it's just it's kind of a lose-lose for Chivas to beat up in Mexico, but only because of of decisions of their own making. So no one's going to want to go to Chivas. Tomas Boy was, they're not going to get Almeida, they're not going to get Matosas, they're not going to get Arsene Wenger. It's just not going to get guys like that. They're going to get retreads off the in the scratch and dent. Those are the coaches that are available to Chivas right now, as long as they maintain the same philosophy that they've had for however long. That the coaches don't really get a full say. It's just who wants to be a part of that?
Yeah, and it ruins. It would just make you look like it would ruin it would tarnish your image as a coach.
Yeah.
It'll just be seen as a fracaso, and people are gonna forget the FO, any hindrance from the FO, and it's just gonna come down as you just weren't good enough.
Meanwhile, Matias Almeida, who started off very roughly in San Jose, if I'm not mistaken, now has San Jose Earthquakes in second place in the Western Conference in MLS.
Yeah.
Because he was given room to, make the team the way he wanted it. They had patience with him, and now it's paying off.
Well, yeah, patience, and I mean, look what Coach Chivas had that they showed very little patience with, and it was Nacho Ambriz. And he went to León, and he made them, he made them contenders. They reached the final, and they're right now one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean it's Cruz Azul right now, and I'm not sure what's the latest is with Peláez. I think last I checked, they were having a meeting. Has he announced that he's stepping down yet, or is he going to stay with?
I think it comes down to the coach. If they don't bring his candidate, because the talk is that
well, Caixinha was never his candidate, right?
The son of what happened?
Caixinha was never his choice.
No, Caixinha was already there when Peláez arrived, and this is another thing as to notice, because he gave him. This was the third season, so he didn't, even though he didn't want him, he didn't sabotage him or just try to sack him at the first one. He allowed him to work, and Caixinha did his own thing eventually. But that's the thing with Peláez. So at least he's willing to work it out. So they're saying that Billy Alvarez's son, he wants to bring Ruben Omar Romano.
Yeah.
So,
Peláez tweeted that 3 hours ago. He said he's going to get it. He was going into that he wants to continue with Cruz Azul, but he's going into a meeting with the institution to make a decision. So that was 3 hours ago. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, Cruz Azul is it's kind of an interesting case because on one side we have Pelaez and the way that he does business, which we've seen and has proven to be a very successful blueprint. And then there's Cruz Azul that has Hurtado, who is the main promoter, who I guarantee you is telling Billy Alvarez which coach he wants and what players he wants. And so we'll end up we'll see who wins. And honestly, I would actually be betting against Pelaez. I think that Pelaez is going to be a major free agent here coming up in the next, I guess in the next couple of hours. And if Cruz Azul wants to be, where they want to be, they have to let Pelaez do his thing. Or if they want to go back to what they have been for the past 4 or 5 years, which is just a very un-Cruz Azul-like inconsistent team, then by all means, Billy Alvarez's son go sign, seriously, Ruben Omar Romano. That's insane to me. Why on earth would you want to have a guy who hasn't coached in 2 or 3 years, and a guy who's coached on every possible team? It just makes no sense.
They got a contract with Marlboro. That's why.
With Marlboro.
Yeah, they got a contract with Marlboro, and they need to push a few more, cigarette packs a week.
I thought Romano smoked faros.
You know what? You're right.
He smokes Viceroy. Yeah, so it's just, why on earth would you want to? It's Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul, at least in the modern era, since in the Liga era, has been, has been one of, if not the top team in Mexico. Why on earth would you want to? Not want to get back to that. I think it's time to put Ojitos out to pasture, unfortunately.
He put himself out.
Although I have to admit, anyone wanting to coach Veracruz, that's just awful.
But I think a big reason was he had his sons. His 2 sons were his assistant coaches. I think he was, trying to open the doors there for them.
If he's Ojitos, are his sons Ojititos and Ojitititos?
Could very well be.
Yeah.
But it was just bad.
Are you sure it's not Ojototes?
It couldn't be.
Ojototes?
It couldn't be, but you'd have to go backwards. His grandfather would be Ojototes.
So his grandfather was Ojototes.
That's right. And his dad was just Ojos. So his grandkids would be Ojitititos. And then, of course, their kids would be Ojitititos. It's all part of the semantics. No, but Ojitos, honestly, these guys. I'm curious where Matosas ends up, because there are some.
Well, San Luis was the San Luis has been the team linked to him, and then after the Copa MX debacle for Chivas, they have been even linking him to Chivas. But I don't know.
You know what? I like the way Matosas teams played. The way he had Leon playing, especially when they came up back to first division. It was a fun team to watch. And I always say if my team's not winning, at least I want to enjoy watching them.
I was looking at Matosas' long list of teams he's managed, and there was this recurring theme there. He's rarely been in a club longer than 2 years. There's a bunch of clubs where he left after like a year or after 6 months. So I guess that's a good fit for Chivas.
Well, how long? But he wasn't known for like 4 or 5 years though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there a long time, man. Till Pelaez brought him up to America, right? Threw the money at him.
Profe, have you been fielding calls? Have you gotten any offers?
You know what? Yeah, I got asked to put in my resume for Veracruz.
But even you're not crazy enough to take that gig, huh?
No. I told Jolie, hey, if you be my auxiliar and Beto will be the
Well,
preparador físico, then I'll think about it, But those
he
guys were like,
he was
Profe,
he was
your hair frizz in the humidity, Profe?
yeah, man, it does. I haven't cut it
here
in
it
a long
is.
time.
Here is here's Matosas. He was at León from 2012 to 2014. So I mean,
So
four tournaments.
hang on. But he was at Leon before that, though, wasn't he?
No,
Because didn't he bring them up?
Yeah, he got them
I don't know.
promoted.
Yeah, but that must have been like 2012. So here's his list. From 2002 to 2003, Villa Española. 2004, Plaza Colonia. 2005, Rampla Juniors. 2006 to 2007, Danubio. 2007 to 2008, Peñarol. 2008 to 2009, Bella Vista. And this guy travels, man.
Yeah,
2009
I mean,
to
let's be honest.
2010.
Like all those teams are in Montevideo, so it's not like he has to like.
Ooh, the San Martin. Well, he didn't travel that far. His Uber bill wasn't that high.
That's right.
2000, he did have to change houses. 2010, 2011, Danubio. 2011, Querétaro. And then 2012, 2014, León. 2014 to 2015, America. 2015, Atlas. 2016, Al Hilal. 2017, Cerro Porteño. 2017, Estudiantes de La Plata. And
Man,
2018
I
to
hope he
this
has
year,
enough.
Costa Rica.
I hope he has enough pages in his passport for all those visas he needs to get. Good lord,
Dude,
it's
he
crazy.
played for a lot of teams too.
16 teams.
So
How many
gets
teams
bored.
did he play for?
He's played for, he even played for Querétaro.
Yeah, he travels.
12 teams. He played for 12 teams, starting at Peñarol. He went to Spain, Malaga, then Argentina, San Lorenzo, Racing Club, also of Argentina, Sao Paulo in Brazil.
Man, he makes
Lleida.
Romano look like an amateur with all the coaching stops. Good lord.
He was Lleida. He was in Valladolid, Atlético Paranaense, Goiás, Tiajín, Teda, El Tanque Sisley. That sounds like a band.
So
this is like a garage band.
He gets bored in the club teams and he gets bored on the national team. So I mean, honestly, how could you ever build a long-term project with this guy? You can't.
He spent 3 years in León. So in León he started September 2011, and then he left in November 2014. So
You're
that's
telling me
a little bit.
Wikipedia's lying?
No. Check out his look to the left of what you're looking at. So that summary that you're looking at doesn't give you all the seasons.
So León was his main.
Yeah, León's been his claim to fame in Mexico, and then he spent a year in not even a year, a season with.
He matched the great Hugo Sanchez with the bicampeonato.
He did well at America also. I understand though. I understand being bored at a national team, and especially with like the lack of activity recently. You're either watching players or you're just like sitting around, if there's no games.
I'm pretty sure he saw the prospects of facing, Tatas in Mexico, and he's all like, you know what? I'm just gonna get my.
It's not just that. I mean, Costa Rica, their generation's done. I mean, se acabó. They have to go back to the drawing board. It's not. The Brian Reese, Joel Campbell days are nearing their end, man.
Maybe
they're going to be crying in the broadcast booth with
maybe in a World Cup year that would be exciting, but yeah, it's not. I don't blame him. I can understand him saying it's boring.
Does he not want to go to Barbados to play the CONCACAF Nations League?
Yeah, I think we've seen Mexico even. I think their call-ups are like, they don't even want to send at all their A team. So it's going to be a bunch of B, C team players going to those.
Yeah, well, I mean, from one of the press conference that I saw today, it looks like that's got to have a plan for how he wants to approach those, and he has what is it? He called like 31 guys. So I'm assuming that players that play in the game tomorrow against the U.S. are going to go back to their club teams, and then you'll play the second batch. Now on the Argentina, did Messi is Messi suspended or did he get called
Yes.
up?
No, he's got that suspension from CONMEBOL for.
But that's for official matches, not for friendlies, right?
I thought it was everything.
Well, honestly, I'm sure Messi took one look at that field in the Alamo. It's like, no chance in hell am I going to play on that thing.
He's like, yeah, I'll take this ban.
Yeah. I'm not going to play on that field under any circumstance. Yeah, I don't blame him one bit on not wanting to play.
Well, this is Argentine star Lionel Messi was barred on Friday from playing for his national team for 3 months and fined 50,000. Wow.
For 3 months,
Yeah,
so like, but then again, but then their qualifying starts in March, so it doesn't miss anything.
Yeah, well, he's really like bummed out.
I'm sure he's really broken up about it.
Not playing Chile for the 10th time.
Yeah,
this year.
Joel, I'm surprised you're not there, man. They're playing Chile right there in your backyard tonight.
I know. You know what?
There's like 100 people in the stands.
I slept on that, and Brazil plays Peru, which that one to me was the more exciting game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on the 10th. And yeah, I just dropped the ball there, Yon.
See, all these South American teams that are now starting to play in the U.S. and with the League Cup the way it's going, I am telling you, I think that that there's going to be a combo cup here, whether it's clubs or national teams, very very soon. That's going to be played in the U.S.
Yeah, they know it. Ball's going to be in the court for this. For the CONCACAF teams to dictate. They're going to be able to, show them the money.
Yeah, but you got to do a little better than 200 people at the Coliseum. Though. That's that's not a good look.
No, and it's the new look Coliseum, John.
Yeah, I saw that with all the pretty red seats.
I have not been there. I need to go. Man. I haven't been there since they remodeled.
It sounds like somebody is like using sandpaper right now. Maybe cleaning up an edge. So Mexico's playing. Is playing. Is playing the U.S. tomorrow at the Meadowlands. We were hoping to have some presence there, but we were denied a credential for. Which just cracks me up because I guarantee you they'll give credentials to every schmo that has a U.S. national team podcast, especially at a place like, in New York. But as it turns out, it won't be the case for us, which is okay. The U.S. will be at full strength. Mexico's looking like they'll be at full strength. Chicharito, who had just signed with Sevilla, hasn't even played for Sevilla, goes to Sevilla, shows the scarf, to the fans, and then gets on a plane and flies to New York.
Dude, so he took a pay cut to play there.
He did, and
how about that guy, man?
We had offered him a spot, your spot actually, put off here at the CantinaMX podcast. But he said, "No, I got." So he took a pay cut for that too. So.
Wow.
So, you were on the brink.
Hold up. You guys get paid?
Yeah. hefty wages, man.
Fucking Ronnie, dude. Is that guacamole money, huh? That guac money.
That's why it's free.
That's right.
Don't tell me that you guys just joined the dark side. You guys all signed with Televisa too.
No, Televisa, they've been losing people, man. It's like all the Televisa guys are now on different. Like there's guys on. I see them everywhere. They're like on Marca, on Claro, and it's.
Yeah, I was reading on that, and it was some guy they brought in. they brought in some guy to manage the sports department, the sports wing of the TV station,
Uh-huh.
and he was trying to shake things up, and he was trying to like even change up like the commentators and everything. And the only thing he ended up doing was pushing away the talent that they had, and they got stuck with a bunch of mediocre. Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. They were his friends or friends of friends, but yeah, he really put a hurt on them.
Yeah, and then of course they've combined now with Univision, so it's almost like they have the same graphics, they have the same announcers. It's very interesting how that has come together. And of course, they have the rights not to the Mexico game, but they have the U.S. rights, which is how they were able to broadcast the Mexico game, which is interesting, which they'll do tomorrow. And so this is a major. I don't understand why Mexico plays friendlies against the U.S. Frankly, it makes no sense to me. But I guess they have to in order for them to continue playing in the States. But
Well, I mean, it's because they're tied with some.
I mean,
And
I
so,
understand that.
well,
I understand that. So it's a money thing, obviously. But
yeah,
here's the danger. Here's the danger. U.S. is going to play with a very young team. A lot of a lot of players under the age of 25. So they're going to be very fast, very quick. They're going to go. I mean, Guardado, God bless him. I love the guy. He's been there for this is his 13th year as a cemented on the national team. The dude can't run anymore. He just can't.
Hey, how many caps does he has? I was watching his the Amazon Prime special. He has like 100 and something caps already.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been playing on the national team since 2005, and he's been a starter since 2007.
Jesus,
Yeah,
that's a great career, man.
yeah,
That's up to that guy.
He's been very solid. He's had a So they have a bunch of youngsters, and so here's my thing. So if the Mexico hasn't beaten the U.S. in a friendly in like 20 years, it's been a long time. Again, not that it matters, but it obviously matters to the U.S. because, as everybody knows, when the U.S. release their books as far as compensation, the biggest compensation the U.S. players get is for beating Mexico. That's the biggest bonus they get, is beating Mexico. So you have a bunch of 21, 22-year-olds that are probably going to make, outside of Pulisic, these guys are probably making not necessarily the biggest salaries for MLS or wherever it is that they play. So that they're staring at a pretty sizable chunk of money to win this game. So they're going to be extremely motivated to win this game.
It doesn't beat Jolie's Chivas TV offer.
It does not.
They extended their offer to him.
It definitely, boy, I tell you what, he could do. Chivas TV could do a lot better than the guys they have announcing those games. Good Lord.
the English announcers.
Oh man, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, man, it's like they picked them at random.
It's like they said, do you know the Frito Bandito? Because that's what we're going for. No, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. So the U.S. And then if these quote unquote youngsters, beat a quote unquote full strength Mexico, I mean, then they're going to have just the amount of confidence that's going to give them is absolutely huge and tremendous. And we saw this already in 2012. That saw the beginning of the end of the Chepo. They lost to the U.S. at the Azteca, no less. They lost to the U.S.
Yeah,
we can't forget that. And so, this is a major danger game for Mexico tomorrow. There's no upside for Mexico if they win. There's a huge downside if they draw or lose. Major, and that's something that I've never quite understood why they continue to play these games as friendlies. It just boggles the mind. So
it's what feeds MLS.
I'm not too alarmed. I do understand what you're saying. I'm not too alarmed, and I see the risk. But even if Mexico has lost for a long time 2-0 to the U.S., recently Mexico's gotten better results even in the U.S. So even if they lose
in official
2-0
matches
again,
in the past 10 years, Mexico's only lost twice. They
yeah, but
lost
that's very few.
2013 and in 2009. They won twice in 2009. They won in 2011. They won in 2015 and 2016 and 2019. So Mexico has 6 wins over the U.S. in official matches in the last 10 years. The U.S. only has 2. But again, those are official matches.
Yeah, that's very
to me
few.
are the ones that count. Which to me are the ones that count.
Yeah, and those are very few compared to the unofficial. I guess the friendlies happen all the time, and that's where the U.S. has their 2-0 wins, and they don't count as much. Maybe the official matches are
Well, I mean that's the thing though
finals.
is that again for the U.S. players it is their biggest game. They get the biggest bonus if they beat Mexico.
But John, I think is this fecha FIFA?
Yeah.
Because Mex is slowly edging their way into top 10. I think they're what were they, 13 or 15? The last FIFA Coca-Cola ranking
Let me check. In the last
it just came out like maybe last month.
FIFA Coca-Cola rankings. I'm gonna look at this right now. Not the women's ranking, but the men's ranking. Let's see. Mexico is 12th. They went up 6 spots.
12. So I mean, and they play Argentina too. So beating Argentina, good lord, I think they could be looking pretty. Well, I mean, who knows? Once you have these other tournaments, they might.
Yeah. Well, remember, I mean, what Mexico has to do, I think it's very unrealistic for Mexico to think that they can sneak in and get a World Cup seed.
But we've done it before.
It has happened.
Been done.
And it was because Mexico got to beat Brazil a lot when Brazil was the number 1 team in the world at the time. And so that's how Mexico.
Schedule them friendlies with Belgium.
That's right. Belgium is the number 1 team in the world right now, according to the.
Let's get them to travel here and send their B team.
So it's Belgium, Brazil, France, England, Uruguay, Portugal, Croatia, Colombia. Out of those top 8, and then these are the teams that are outside looking in: Spain, Argentina. So Mexico would have to jump all of those together. So that's just not realistic. I mean, out of those, you would think maybe Portugal would slide, Croatia, maybe Colombia. But again, Spain and Argentina are right there to take their spots. So very unrealistic for that to happen. Now, but again, if you go into that, if they do the draw the way they did the last time, Mexico would be just fine being in the second group, because that way, that way they avoid playing. And here's the second group. It's Spain, Argentina, Switzerland, Mexico, Denmark, Chile, Germany, Italy, Holland. So you avoid that. You avoid a group of Brazil, Germany, Mexico. So as long as Mexico stays in the top 15 in the world, they're gold. And of course, as Juan points out, beating Argentina and beating the U.S. in friendlies go a long way to helping them establish that.
A Coca-Cola ranking has them at 12.
That is correct.
So they would be in the second group, right?
Correct.
Well, but John, aren't they? They're adding the number of teams, right, to the
not
World Cup?
until the next one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one they even had to cut down the number of stadiums, which is how they're justifying their new logo, saying, "Well, 8 represents the 8 stadiums that are in Qatar. Por favor."
So only the first 8 spots get a seed, and obviously
The first
home
7.
team.
Yeah, the first
7, and assuming the home team's not in the top 8.
Well, the home team will be a group seed, so it's the 7 plus
the home.
Plus the home.
So
does
Mexico want to get drawn in the? I just think that they got to stay away from Argentina and Brazil in the knockout stages for the first round. Is there a way? How can we make that work?
Well, it really depends on the cruce, because
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Now, I personally believe that if they're going to seed it, if they're going to do it not by seed, they should break up the like the top 8, like put, like say Qatar is going to be like out of the 8 seeds, they're going to be the lowest seed, right? So put them in Group A, and then put whoever the number 1 seed is, say Brazil, put them in Group H. So they don't. So the only way that they would play each other, or just split the 1 and 2 seeds rather.
Oh,
So the
I
only way
got
they
you.
would play each other is in the final. You don't want Brazil to play France in the quarterfinals, or have a chance that they can play in the round of 16. No
So,
one wants to see that.
assuming the 8 seeds like advance to quarterfinals, you want like Brazil playing
Yeah, you want
Colombia
Brazil.
or Croatia?
Exactly.
And
Like one of the lower seeds, and yeah, you're exactly right.
I got you.
Yeah.
So,
So-
let's send them a fax or an email now, right?
Who
Well, it
cares,
is
man?
FIFA. You can probably you send them a telex.
A telegram?
They'll play.
right.
They'll play whoever, man. Let them play whoever. If they don't get a seed, who cares? They can just play. Maybe one team come in one big team come in second. They got first. Well, they didn't get first. They had Germany in their group. They've had big teams in their group before, and they've went through. So it's not. I don't see it as a huge issue.
No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, just with what's happened in the world of soccer over the past. I mean, we saw it in the 2014 World Cup. I mean, how many, because they were doing it by continent. I mean, there were so many groups that were just stacked that I mean, a lot of good teams ended up going home because of that. Because like the Chile, Spain, Holland group, and the Italy, Uruguay, England group, and to a lesser degree the Germany, Ghana, Portugal, U.S. group. But when they did it the way they did it this last time, where they did, by the pots based on their ranking, it made it so much more equitable. I mean, there really wasn't a quote unquote group of death in the in the Russia World Cup. All the groups were so balanced out so nicely that it just there was one group that was very very weak, but most of the other ones were relatively reasonable, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but if you, I mean, imagine if Mexico that was put in with the Asian teams, and the way it is now with Germany. I mean, Mexico could have a group: Brazil, Germany, Ivory Coast, Mexico. I mean, good God, that would be awful. Or Brazil, Germany, Holland, Mexico. That could be the way they used to do it before. That could be a group. But now that's not going to happen anymore because they're using the FIFA rankings. So so like I said, if Mexico stays in the top 15, they're gold.
Yeah.
They're gold.
I don't even stress out too much about Costa Rica and them getting their fortunate run of opponents and making it semi deep into the World Cup. Like I don't.
Yeah,
I don't,
but it's all about the draw. I mean, it's all about the draw.
Yeah, I'm not too envious about that situation for Mexico, and they didn't beat huge teams to get there, and so that's it doesn't make Costa Rica this great huge team because just go back to CONCACAF and World Cup qualifying, they end up losing to Mexico, and Keylor Navas ends up getting scored on plenty of times by Mexican players, so it's not like, oh, he's from Real Madrid and so he's gonna shut us out and stuff. No.
Even Guille Franco scored on Keylor Navas.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'd be really upset if that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But going back to the players, I guess Chicharito going to Spain and then just coming right back. Tata talked about Lainez, and I guess since he's younger, that he's sort of in the same situation. But he let him stay, which he's young, so I mean that's not too surprising.
Well, I thought Lainez is with the U22s.
Yeah, I mean he's going to be in the future with the senior team, but he was questioned, and then also Macias was questioned, and he's going as well to the U22s, which I agree with. A lot of people are sort of complaining about Macias not being in the lineup, but
where are you going to put him?
Yeah, there's still their other players. Well, some people probably don't even want Chicharito on the team anymore. They don't want the guys that don't want Guardado, Herrera, uh, Reyes for sure, even Moreno. They're
Was
saying,
Reyes called up?
yeah, Reyes is looking to start possibly. I got the lineup on the well, it's on their YouTube channel. But yeah, Reyes and Moreno are the two guys in back. I don't know if these are the yeah, they're possible. Like Fox Sports has a probable lineup against the United States. So it's like Moreno and Reyes at the back, Orozco even in the goal, Sanchez and Gallardo on the sides, Rodriguez, Guardado, Herrera in the middle, Alvarado, Corona up top with Chicharito. So that's a probable lineup that's been floating out there, which a lot of people sort of
Guatemala beat Anguilla 10-0 tonight. 10-0.
They're back, John.
That's right.
Who's
53-year-old Pescadito scored.
Pescadito scored, yeah.
He scored 2 goals.
He's still playing?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he's like, he must be mid to late 40s.
Mexico lost 2-1, I think, to the U.S. in the Nations Cup. So that was another result that was out there.
Oh, he's 39, John. He could still play.
Oh, come on. Pescadito's 39. There's no way, man. He's got to be in his mid-40s.
I thought he was older, but he's 39 unless this Wikipedia page hasn't been updated.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, man, it's been. He was in FC Dallas in 2016.
Wow, that's pretty shocking.
He should still be playing. I think he could still make the Guatemalan team. He could be player coach.
I didn't realize that Diego Reyes had been called up, but I guess it kind of makes sense. So
he's been bad recently.
He's not. I mean, when you can't even make it in Turkey. I mean, yeah, it's.
I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is for his. Truthfully.
I mean, that is pretty rough.
He's predicted to be a starter tomorrow, man. Him, Herrera, and Guardado in midfield.
Maybe he's gonna put this weaker team up first against the U.S. and then bring up a better team against Argentina. Because I believe only a few, like you said earlier, only a few will stay for the two, and then the rest it'll be basically two different teams that would be going up for these two friendlies. So no Pizarro. Well, according to the probable lineups that they have.
I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, you're right. It looks like he's going to play the B group against. I mean, if you already believe Fox Deportes, I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to check out because I had a very long drive and very early. So, but it was good to be back on with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Bye, John.
Adios, muchachos.
Adios.
Later, John. I'm gonna jump up too, guys. Late dinner over here.
All right, Juan.
All right.
That's Hugo. Hugo Sanchez, the poster. Hugo Sanchez, the poster, had been lurking in the background this whole time.
¿Qué hubo, Hugo?
Man, ustedes se pierden puros pinches temas bien fáciles, loco.
What you got then, man? What topic you got?
Well, first of all, The myth that El Tata Martino is anything new and refreshing. While I agree he might be a fucking world class coach, leading Mexico, I believe it's the same old tale. The coach falls prey to the FMF's direct orders and commands. Chicharito has not been playing, and he's going to be the starter tomorrow night? No, mamen. They talk about Linez being young, and yet you've got Alexis Vega, who's 21, who won't be 22 until November, and whatever. It's a bunch of BS, you know?
Yeah, I saw commercial. Chicharo still got some sponsors lined up.
Well, it is,
Yeah, and you know what?
well, you heard his interview, Tata Martino's interview, when he talked about being better, Mexico being better than the U.S. as far as the players playing in better leagues. So it's just a typical thing where Mexico has players in Europe on better teams than the U.S. does. So that's where you get the Chicharito. That's where you get like uh, like all these guys
Sure,
instead
but
of.
Diego Jimenez has not been playing. For years, you had well, not years, but I mean, at least 2 seasons, you had El Pollo in Portugal, and he didn't get a call up. You had Omar Govea, whatever you want to believe, but he's out in Europe, and no one capped him. I mean, he did. He came over for like 2 games. It's all about promotores, I believe. Ultimately, that's who wins out. But that's my take.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I do get it. Like the pretty boys, like the pretty boys, the guys that can be on the commercial.
Diego Rivera not doing jack squat with Atletico Madrid. That Cholo Simeone keeps promising him that he'll get time, and he's going to start tomorrow. It's all the hierarchy, like always. So I mean, Tata Martino eventually will either succumb to the pressure or he'll bow out. You know, I mean, Osorio put up with it. We'll see how this guy does.
And it's a friendly also, so I mean, it's all about making money in the U.S. The fans want to see, especially on a Fecha FIFA, they want to see the big
Yeah,
players.
well, they want to see the known players. Chicharo, even though he hasn't played, he's still very popular. He still sells. Uh, well, I wasn't surprised, but as soon as he was announced with Sevilla, they already had like the three camisas with the 14 in his name. They were already selling. Uh,
Yeah, and you see what Wolves are doing with Raul Jimenez in the green
with
jersey.
the third kid, yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, no, I agree with Hugo. Those guys shouldn't be getting called up. They haven't even been playing good, but they're there to sell. Just cumplir,
But
cumplir with the sponsors, and also having the promoters, like he says.
do you think, Hugo, that like all these guys shouldn't even be called up and they should be prepping the younger kids for the next World Cup? Like should it be like should Guardado and Herrera not even be on these call ups and not even be on the national team anymore?
Well, I mean, Guardado to me is well. First of all, I applaud him for staying in Spain. I applaud him for staying in Europe and playing his trade over there compared to some of the other younger guys who returned to LigaMX. And the fact that even PSV was looking to re-sign him just shows that he's still got some stock, and but I think like he's taking a spot. Like for example, I would go with I mean Achache sure hasn't been starting with Atletico, but I'd go with a lineup of him, Jonathan. I'd look at I mean personally, I start looking at the players who have been shining in the Liga. I mean I know we talk about you have the youth setup and you have plenty of games for them to prepare for Tokyo, but you look at that kid from Querétaro, the defensive mid, Marcel Ruiz, and I'm like, dude, why don't we just start giving him senior minutes? I mean, he's a big kid. He looks like he's promising for the future, but no, we always stagnate. We'll prep them for the Olympics, and then what happens after the Olympics? Is he going to go the way of like a Nestor Vidrio type? That haven't heard from him since. I'm just concerned. I mean, the goalie situation, I don't know. I was going with Gibran Lahun still. I mean, Coutinho didn't pan out. The way we thought he would. What about Sebastian Jurado? It's
That
just an
guy's
interesting scenario.
that guy's good. Sebastian Jurado. He's getting like blasted on left and right at Veracruz, and he's doing a pretty good job. But that's a different. That's a difficult. That's a difficult competition there when you got Ochoa
Hey,
at the.
won't that make you a good keeper if you play in that sucky team?
Yeah,
You're getting X amount of shots on goal per game.
I mean, that's pretty much Memo Ochoa's European career.
That's true.
yeah, that dude's like an
Okay.
MVP over there, man.
He's,
And it's not
The,
just
the,
like
the thing, the thing with the thing with Memo returning to America, to me, I'm still a little upset about that. I just, I don't know. I mean, I'd be okay with him playing for Haxio or any of those stupid ass teams that he played for instead of coming back to America.
I don't think he liked living there though. I don't think he was enjoying Belgium.
Yeah, I don't know.
you don't like
It's just
America, then that's why. That's
straightforward.
bias.
No, but it's like they think about like like he has his wife and kids, and it's like they want to be closer to their family, and it's like, all right, it's just easier for them if I move over here. Like he's been away for X amount of years, so it's like
Speaking of, no, speaking of which, I mean, do you guys talk about non-LigaMX stuff like everyone's favorite, Carlitos Vela and his whole situation? Because that podcast with Danny Fauber was pretty interesting, man. It was.
Oh
I
yeah,
think we heard more. We heard more from his mouth than we have in like years, in 14 years.
yeah. I listened to that. That
yeah.
was a really good one. I'm thinking of doing a video on. Well, it's been too late. I mean, it's sort of old news now. But analyzing what he said, because he said some pretty good stuff that pretty much makes me think, which we already knew, that he's never coming back to the national team again. But to me, it's sort of he disrespects the coach and his decision, because even it's the coach's decision to decide that he wants to take Vela over some youngster who's going to be a future player, because he's the guy in charge, and it's not Vela's choice to make and say, oh, I don't want to go, because you should give the younger player the opportunity. That younger player may not be the best player that, or is not going to be the best player at the World Cup if Vela is still on top of his game.
I think
So
that's just him saving face.
yeah, and then the whole, oh, I'm gonna stay in LA for the rest of my life. I don't even like going to Spain. It's too cold or whatever. And then he goes, oh, maybe Miami. I would like Miami. That'd be really cool. He's just going. Oh, and the main thing that I liked about that interview was what he said. Like they asked him if he had any regrets. I don't know if they referred to Arsenal, but he brought up Arsenal and that he was just too young and too immature, and he liked. He made some wrong decision. I don't think he said partying specifically, but Benny Feilhaber said that, or asked, is it partying? And he said, yeah, or something like that. Um, I think he was like, he was just too into having fun and not concentrating on the game. And if he
Yeah,
wasn't, he probably could have done really well and busted into the lineup in Arsenal. And that would have changed his
yeah.
whole
He
career.
clearly, he clearly blasted London. He says he didn't like London. He went back and said he didn't give it his all. He wished that maybe he doesn't have too many regrets, but he wished that he could go back and show that he, was at the level of being, a key member of the team. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was alluding to partying and hanging out with women and drinking, because he said his mind was everywhere but on soccer, and that he was crazy. With regards to the national team and like coming back and taking a spot, I mean, yeah, I guess he tried to save face. I agree, try to like show some nobility, but I mean, we've seen it countless times before with like Luis Hernandez, Sagi, Braulio Luna, these older cats getting like a last minute call up or last minute run, and essentially taking away the spot from someone that's been there during the whole process, if you will. But I don't know. I mean, like you guys remember when Tuca took over the team and they played that one off in Pasadena versus the U.S. and Tuca says, I know I was in the media, like that's around the time where he was blasting Pulido for being a diva, and he was talking about people didn't want to play for Mexico, then que no se hagan de rogar, we don't need to beg them. And when he went back and he said, dude, I had all these preconceived notions about Carlitos Vela, and when I met him, man, my hat's off to the guy, man. Un tipazo.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Well, which is kind of weird because Memo Ochoa said that when Tuca was there, it was just like a buddy instead of a coach. So I don't know.
Well, I think Tuca knew he wasn't gonna get the job, and those were just like those games were just compromiso, so they were like, God, let's just they weren't taking him that serious. Let's just have some fun and do our business and then pack it in. Uh, it's interesting you bring up Tuca. There's a clip that came out a day or two ago. It's Ramon Ramirez, and he's talking about when Tuca was at Chivas, and he's talking about how at Chivas they had this tradition where every Friday they would just have like a potluck type of thing. But it was eating like comida chatarra, he called them, and he said how it became like that was the season that they won the league title, and he said that was a big reason for it, just that everybody would get together and then just eat all those like tacos and tortas ahogadas, and then he talked about when Tuca found out he prohibited that. Like he shouldn't
It's
be
funny.
eating junk
That was the infamous the Toros Nesas, the Cholos Nesas, even, right?
food. Cholos Nest.
Remember
Yeah,
they
yeah,
got
that was the final.
the 5-0 or whatever with Gusano Nápoles, and they were saying, ganamos, vencimos, que chinga les pusimos.
Yeah, with Ojitos who just retired. I think for
Good riddance, man.
this time for real.
I mean, they say he's a nice guy, and you know what? He might be the nicest fucking dude on the planet, man. But after what he did in Mexico in 2001, I don't ever want to see him again.
We talked about that last podcast, Chiquis, or what was that we talked about like it sort of had like a bad luck with that team because he did bring in some of the guys from Toluca that he had.
Yeah, he had
And,
Victor Ruiz, Abundis. He had I don't know. I just remember the 1-0 against England at what was it at Coventry, where David Beckham had debuted the Mohawk, and he
oh,
scored the free kick from hell on Osvaldo.
Oh, I think.
Dude,
Yeah. What?
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna bring up some news, but what did you have to say?
No, I was just gonna say that Confederaciones of 2001 with Ojitos was terrible, man. France crushed us, and we made a what was it Steve Mallet or who was that guy, the forward? He was like the fourth forward for France at the time. And I mean, we made him like a world beater, man.
what? Yeah, Mexico lost all 3 games.
And I remember after every game, they would interview him, and he said, me gustó el funcionamiento del equipo. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah. Poor guy gets bullied on a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, Cruz Azul. It looks like Siboldi is gonna be the new manager.
I like Siboldi. He, I mean, he shouldn't have gone to Veracruz, but that team when he won with Santos, he pretty much outcoached everyone. If you see the games, especially going into Liguilla, and then he had the attack. Just they had Villalmina and Furch, and he had Bola Gonzalez, who is also at Cruz Azul now, the Uruguayan, and he had their attack just because Chepo had that team, and they would miss. It was incredible how much they would miss. And I don't know exactly what Tivoldi did, but these guys just started scoring. I think that's a good pick. They were saying that was it Turco? He wanted to bring his whole entourage. That he has like a eight-man coaching team. That's just too much money. Cruz Azul didn't want to pay for that.
Yeah, they're saying, I guess, what's his name? Garces?
Wait, is Peláez?
Garces.
Wait, is Peláez?
Peláez hasn't left. He said if he wants to leave, he can leave. Garces is on Picante. He's talking about him. But Peláez hasn't left yet. That's still.
Well, I think he was mostly opposed to Romano taking over.
Yeah.
But Siboldi's a good pick. I wouldn't. I'd be surprised if Peláez leaves. Over Siboldi's a good coach, I think. They were my picks, man. If he could do the same, if he could work the same magic he did with Santos, I think Cruz Azul will. They already have a really deep squad, so I think this move could work wonders for them.
Yeah, it's just a lot of drama going on. Just got to get past it. That's what I think Chivas should avoid by just giving Tomas Boy a chance to just avoid the drama, because everyone's like wanting to change the coach after a few games, but the coach isn't really playing. I think any coach in there is not gonna have much better results. It's the players that are not performing. Even though the game against Tamaulipas was, not their best lineup. It was like a B lineup. They even had Oribe playing, which I think Oribe's sort of dropped off the starting lineup for Chivas. Vega didn't play. Pulido didn't play. They had a backup goalkeeper, I believe. So yeah, the lack of patience on teams, firing coaches all the time is sort of distracting.
Yeah, Boy is getting all the blame for everything that's been going on with Chivas. It surprised me from the fans, especially if they've been following the club long enough. You don't even have to follow it that long. At least 5 years would be long enough to know the front office is just a mess. The last 3 coaches, going back from Chepo to Matias to Carlos, they've all gone through the back door. So you can't keep firing coaches like that, or else no one's gonna want to work. And if we see Chivas, they haven't really hired any like top coaches since, I would say probably Ben Hacker was the last one that you could say they brought in a big named coach. Because Tuca came in when he was just starting. He had won with Pumas, and he came second title. And then we had who else came? Chepo was just getting started, so they haven't really had any renowned coach. And in the past, like how did they go around it? But they were, Vergara was just paying them off. You brought in someone like La Volpe comes in, and he has a 2-3 year deal, and you sack him, you still have to pay him all that.
Dude, you
So,
forget that Jorge Vergara said he was going after a premier coach, one of the best in the world, and he brought in the fucking Javier Escargota.
yeah, that guy. He's a Spaniard who had coached Bolivia to their first World Cup. but I don't think he had coached since like 1994, and he wanted to bring Koeman too. Uh, yeah, it's just a lot of money that the club squandered. Even when we look at like the whole Cruyff project, that's just a lot of money that they paid once they got rid of that. Because that was they had they had Johan Cruyff, and then they had like
They had a
what's it,
Cruyff
Van Chip,
Jr., John Van Cheap.
and a bunch of youth coaches, and they had to pay off like 5, 8 people.
Dude, I mean, ultimately, Efrain Flores and Güero Real, those were good coaches, man. I believe that they were like system coaches, but they did great for like the youth setup and funneling in players. I mean, ultimately, Vergara's made some good decisions. I just think it's this whole, he's on record to hire the most coaches in Chivas history.
Yeah, with one of the problems was that Vergara would. So, for example, they had Hans, and Hans, and it's funny because a lot of the Chiva fans think he did all this work for Guadalajara, and he does deserve credit, but they forget that in his time there, Chivas sent him to Costa Rica to oversee the Saprissa project. They they sent him to Chivas USA. They had him all over the place, so it was hard for him to work, uh, and ended up in Pachuca is where he did work along with Flores, and then Chivas just ended up buying the Pachuca players. Yeah, I don't.
Yes, I guess any big going over the last LigaMX week 8. Any big results? I know, as I predicted, Pumas was gonna defend their home field and beat Toluca.
They did beat Toluca. You said, and they haven't fired Bijuton because we thought if he lost, that would be his last match.
Yeah, I think he's got the RG clout, the history in Mexico and national team that's helping him maintain a little bit longer than the other guys. And they're in. Let's see. I'm gonna try to pull up the standings.
They're in 18th place.
Yeah, they're at the very near
Yeah,
second
because
to last.
Veracruz is.
So yeah, man. Ricardo Lavolpe not doing too good there. You got brand new FC
Nope.
Juarez is still ahead of them in 16th place. Chivas went down quite a bit.
Yeah, well, they've lost 2 games in a row, but they're also 1 game behind because there's a few teams that have eight games.
Well,
So
they did tie Cruz Azul over the weekend, so they kept even with them, even in the Azteca. And then which I guess their crosstown rival humiliated America 3-0, which I guess that was coming because America hasn't been playing very well. That was, but they still are there in third place. Atlas is in 6th. So this next, let me see when the Clásico Tapatio is. I think it's coming up here. Yeah, it's in 2 weeks. So after this break, in the Acorn Stadium, Chivas and Atlas.
yeah,
I would have to say Atlas is going to be the favorite,
but Chivas is hosting.
Yeah.
You still see the Rojinegros as favorites. For Siboldi, it's funny because Siboldi, his last club was Veracruz, and he's gonna face them uh, at the Pirata Fuente. So I do think Cruz Azul will bounce back right there. Uh, and Veracruz, I think they're gonna be at 35 games. They already have the record for LigaMX, most games without a win. And then we're going next week, right? The other clásico, man, Club América Pumas.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. I don't know if they. I don't know the history between these. It's been a while since Pumas has gotten a good result, gotten a win against the Huilas. Can't find the historical.
What are you going on about, Chiqui? You mean in clásicos? Pumas hasn't been able to beat
Yeah, they haven't been able to beat America in a while, I
Yeah,
believe.
that's the thing about Piojo. He rarely loses. He's rarely lost clásicos since he's been with America. He's gonna be. He already is one of their best coaches, like historical coaches. And I think he's this season. I don't know if he already did it, but I think he's gonna break the record for most wins with the team.
They're sort of going downhill a little bit though. They haven't won the last
What?
3
They're in
games.
third place. They're
Yeah, but they haven't
they're
won the
third
last.
place of the league.
They lost 3-0 the Atlas. They haven't won in the last 3 games. Their last win was against Morelia. They lost.
No, I know, but they've had you know, their preseason was see now why you have me defending America, man? Their preseason was like a mess. I don't. Seems like a cash grab, just like Chivas. They sold some key players, and they're just they've just been replacing some of them,
So this is
and they've had a couple injuries. But I mean, to still be in third, that's not.
Yeah, they're holding on because of their early performance. I think they're on the decline, and this is the opportunity for Pumas to pounce on them. You know, give the get some cat power behind them and swat the eagle in the face a few times.
Damn.
This will be their chance. So I'm actually sort of hopeful actually for this game. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, because see, what would this be? Memo's second match with America,
Yeah,
and even like Gio.
His first
Gio
match.
has what he has. Gio has like what 3 games with them, and they brought some guy from Paraguay. Didn't they go after some other guy just recently? Some Argentine.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall. But yeah, Ochoa came back, got hit with three goals in that loss. Gio hasn't played. I don't know if he's I don't know why he hasn't played. I don't know if he's got like an injury or something. But he didn't play, I don't think, in the last game. Hopefully he gets back in there. Necaxa's doing really well. They're playing Monterrey in the north. That should be an interesting one as well. But yeah, the 2 Clásicos, I guess, are the main games for the next week, the next jornada, which is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, here he is. It's a Uruguayan. It's a Uruguayo. It's a striker, 21-year-old, Federico Sebastián Barbosa. See, they just signed this guy. Cause they got rid of the French dude, their Gignac. They wanted their own Gignac. It just didn't pan out. It was sort of like a messed up what happened though, because they're saying someone in the America front office, they leaked the info of when he was leaving, like what his flight was, and he had like a couple fans that went and assaulted him.
Oh, like the fans in Guadalajara at the airport when America went to play Atlas. Some of them got upset and I think one of them pushed one of the America players. calling him all kinds of names.
One of them, what? One of the fans?
One of the Chivas fans pushed an America player from while they're in the airport for the Atlas game. So there's a video out on that. I don't know if you saw it, but
No, I didn't. I have not, Chiquis.
yeah. Well, I guess that's I guess we talked about a lot of the main points. Can got anything else, or you good to close it out for the night? Unless you have any other topic you want to discuss or thing you want to say.
No, well, maybe just my bit on Boy.
Yeah.
I think Chivas fans exaggerating. I'm not saying he's the best coach for the job, but he's who the team has right now, and it's disingenuous to blame everything on him. It's even looking at the squad, they're not one of the strongest teams. Uh, you know, like even for the start of the season, just to make it into the top 8 was going to be a challenge for them. So it's not like they're getting they're getting their asses handed to them. Probably aside from that first game against Santos, which was the first game of the season when they lost 3-0, but even then you have to see just how bad the front office had planned the preseason, and they had them playing, a game before just a few days before the opening of the season, and then just flying to go play again right after that match. So I mean, these things end up affecting how you build a squad. Even the players that would bring in, it's been like a big mess. Like for example, like the transfer of Jesus Molina, and so Monterrey said, okay, we'll sell you the player, but you need to give us dude, I forget his name already. They wanted the striker on loan, who was at that point Chivas' top striker with 6 goals, and then they sent Madrigal over. You know, all these moves, sending out JJ Macias, all of that have affected the club. So I think fans concentrating a bit too much on Boy and forgetting like the other guys that have been putting kerosene on the dumpster fire, and it's like they're mad at Boy because he can't turn it off. So yeah, it's gonna take a while, man. I don't know why it's only been 7 games, and even if he doesn't make it, you know, um, I think they shouldn't fire him just because it sets a bad, it gives a bad example, and anyone is not gonna want to work at Chivas where they feel like you're gonna get the blame ultimately, even if you're not much of the cost. I think if they would rather, I would rather if Chivas just focused on finding like a good coach instead of trying to do it like have a rash decision, which to me was like the mistake with Cardoso. 4 games left to fire him and then to bring in Boy and then say, oh, he's only the coach for 4 games. And then they end up extending his contract. And it pretty much shows that. But they extended the contract because nobody else, they couldn't find anyone else that was willing to work under Chivas. So, I mean, that's why firing Boy, you're just feeding into that system that's not working. And so I know for a lot of fans, it sucks. It sucks to have that dude, or if they don't like him. But I think no queda otra, just wait till the season ends. Which I still think there's a fighting chance. I wouldn't be so pessimist. There's been some positives. Not everything has been bad. You could focus on the Correcaminos defeat, or even the last 2, but the team has done like they played away, like to play on the road, and like the 4-3 against Leon, that was a good match, and they hadn't been playing like that for a long time. At least like slowly by slowly, there's been minor improvements. So I don't think it's been everything's been so doom and gloom as a lot of fans are making it seem. That's my bit, Chiquis.
Yeah, I can agree. I think let him go the whole season. I actually like him. I think he's an entertaining guy. Um, so it's for entertainment purposes, it's pretty good. Even recently, I think he was asked about the Gignac situation, and
Oh,
he explained that he's waiting like an apology, or Gignac was the one that started it because Boy was talking to the ref and yelling at the ref,
yeah.
and Gignac came in and like was doing hand motions
He,
like yeah, telling off his mother and stuff. Like
yeah.
do and then so Boy got into it with him, and then when he was when I guess in the lock or not in the locker rooms, I did the same thing he did. He said in the locker rooms, and he corrected himself in the tunnel. Uh, Gignac was like saying he's gonna like making a fist, like saying he was gonna beat him up and stuff.
Yeah,
And
that
so
that was a good interview. He said some interesting things. He also said how Chivas has 11 goals in 7 games, and how the team had not been able to score that many. I don't know in how many seasons. So I mean, those are some of the positives we're talking about. Um, but I do think he messed up by when they brought up Mati. I think that's a soft spot. And you want to win over the Chihuahua faithful. You're just not allowed to say anything bad about Mati. That guy is a saint for the Chivas. Even though his last 2 seasons he pretty much put the hurt on. I don't know. It's like a phenomenon to me. Just I never seen a coach be forgiven so much. Uh,
yeah,
so so I mean, if you're there, just don't say anything negative about Mati. I think that's the one thing Cardoso did right when he was at Chivas, and the comparisons. And this is something that I think we're going to see for a long time, that any coach that comes, they're just going to start comparing them to Mati. And I think that's not going away, until someone else comes that could be more successful. So, yeah, that whole Mati thing. So it's best to ignore it and be like, yeah, that guy was good. But he's not here, so what was the point?
yeah. And it doesn't help that he's
Yeah,
doing
because he
well.
said he said he's like Mati. They weren't playing football, and he was just a good motivator, and that just pissed off the fans.
Oh
And
yeah,
then losing the Copa MX was just double whammy right there. Uh,
yeah. I was sort of hoping that he wouldn't do as well, and I didn't think he would do as well as he is with San Jose. So that's sort of like supporting
he
the
did,
whole.
what one thing that Mati did, because I felt in his last seasons, uh, to me that the other coaches had figured him out, and he was having a hard time because if you and you know that there's always that excuse of, oh, there was lesionados, or they had sold players, and those excuses don't really stand when you see that like Cardoso managed a better season. Cardoso's first season with Chivas was better than the last two of Matias,
Yeah,
and he had a lesser squad. So I mean, where are the excuses? And we're talking about a Mati that by this point already had like 2 years with the team. So you really can't have that excuse of lesionados or they sold X player. Uh, but I do think he got figured out, and so he was having a hard time playing with a lot of these teams from LigaMX that the coaches kind of knew what to expect. So one thing that he did do when he went to San Jose, he took uh, he took El Maestro Galindo as his assistant coach,
uh,
and and Galindo he knows what's up. He won a league title with Santos, and he was the Chivas coach back when Chivas had this one excellent run in Libertadores, the one with Bofo, Russell's La Bombonera. I believe he was the guy in the bench, but he's a capable guy, so I think that's helped him having someone like Galindo. I would like to know how much of an influence he's been. That at least, my estimate's been pretty good. I'm not attributing everything, just to clarify. I'm not attributing this good run to El Maestro, but I do think it helps having someone like that, that you could bounce back ideas, or they could tell you okay, this is what I think you're doing wrong.
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm going to be in San Jose in a few weeks, so I might go to that. I might go and watch their play Philadelphia and Marco Fabian.
Go to the training session, man. You hunt down Maestro and get some stuff from him.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Usually, if you go to the training, a lot of times, dude, no one approaches those guys, and you'll be surprised just how much they like to talk and how much info they'll give you. Hugo, I don't know if he left, but he told us the last time he was here his story when he was at the training session, and one of the assistants of Piojo just gave him all this, gave him all these pearls, man. He yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know
Training
if you could
sessions.
do it, Chicken?
Yeah, during the day training sessions. I don't know if I'll be available.
Oh,
But
you'll be all right.
during the
We
evening,
might have to send Jaime.
yeah,
We'll send Jaime.
maybe. But during the evening, during the game, I'm gonna try. I might try to get a pass or something. I don't know how much tickets cost, but yeah, it sort of might be interesting to go to that San Jose and see if I can get some up close shots or something of Matias, Marco Fabian. But yeah, we'll see. All right, man.
All right,
Yeah,
that's
guess-
all she wrote.
All right, thanks for coming on, Joel.
Always.
Yeah, it's been a good time. We want to thank, I guess, Google for coming on a little bit towards the end, Juan and John for coming in. And this has been episode 214 of the CantinaMX podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.